Hi folks, this is Chris Voss from the ChrisVossShow.com, the ChrisVossShow.com. Coming in here with a blog post that I want to take and talk to you about. A while ago I had someone come to me and they said, does all the time, effort, and hours that you put into your blog, does that get paid for? Does the blog pay for it itself? And so I explained to that person, I said, no, I see it more of as a loss leader. I mean, there's people that subscribe to our advertising agency, our consulting services, that come from the blog, and in that case, yes, it makes money, but for the most part, the blog in and of itself, in its department, if you will, in my mind, it is a loss leader. And if you're familiar with the concept of loss leader, most grocery stores or retail outlet stores use that, probably some online people do these days, where they offer super low prices to get you in the door, get you to their site so you can see them, and hopefully you'll buy other products that they can make profit or margin on. Real basic concept when it comes to retail experience of selling products or services. So, I explained that to them, and I could tell they were still a little stumped, and I thought, maybe this is something that people really need to understand more about what it is. So I turned to one of the leading authorities, probably the leading authority on blogging, Chris Brogan. I'm not sure if you're familiar with chrisbrogan.com. I'll put a link below this video. I've known Chris for about 6 months now. I got exposed to him, met through a friend, shall we say. He's a super great guy. He's been doing blogging for, I think, over 10 years now, if I understand correctly. And he's a very great thinker. He's an incredible thinker about dealing with concepts. I know he's a big fan of Tom Peters. I'm a big fan of Tom Peters. In fact, Tom Peters changed my life, changed my business, and made me who I am today. He's one of the guys, I should say. But Chris Brogan has a way of really thinking about stuff and understanding concepts and explaining them to people. Seth Godin is another one who I like, and so I think I think they're a lot alike. I think Chris Brogan might be almost to a point where he's almost the Tom Peters of our age in this new world of media and concept and stuff like that. Maybe we could call him Tom Peters' son or something. I don't know. So anyway, I turned to Chris Brogan. I said, look, you're the leading authority on this for blogging. What's your opinion? So he graciously wrote a wonderful blog about loss leader concept, what it meant, and he just killed it with the idea. So I'll put a link to it so that you can read it. I would highly encourage you to read it, and I would highly encourage you to read his blog every day, subscribe to his stuff. Two of my favorite reads that I usually get every day are Seth Godin and Chris Brogan. And a lot of the concepts that he does are really well thought out. So I would encourage you to read his stuff, read the blog that we talked about with loss leaders, but also understand with these blogs, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to share. And this is, let's talk about some of the beauty of that is. What I did is I took and did some reflection on what I share with Chris and what I do and how I do things. And one of the things that I'd forgotten about is in the early parts of my blog, I was wondering if it was even worth it and worth the time and effort and all that sort of good stuff. And I'm a very charitable person. I really believe in giving back in order to get something. And there's been times in my life where I've been ultra successful and I haven't given back as much as I wanted. And I think that really changed my experience and didn't make it as wonderful and joyful. And so now I try and give back as much as I possibly can. So for me, in rethinking about it, not only is the blog a loss leader, but for me, it's a part of charity work. It's a part of giving back. And I would hope that maybe a lot of people would agree with me on this point. I get frustrated when I hear people that are like, oh, I'm not going to follow you anymore because, I saw one too many tweets or some anal thing like that. Old Spice just got done spamming the universe over, 24, 48 hours. And no one complained. It's all about content. But for the large part, I hate it when people miss the content. I've got 20 years of being an entrepreneur plus thousands of employees. I mean, I have the most craziest stories. We could do this blog till the end of freaking time with the stories that I have over 20 years. I'm not even kidding you. I've made a lot of money. I've lost a lot of money. I think the most I've ever seen disappear out of one of our profits in our portfolios was over 200,000 in 2 days. That'll make your head spin. I think just before 9/11, we lost over 75,000 on one portfolio in 4 or 8 hours. And let me tell you, some of the things I talk about here on the Chris Voss Show are some of the mental games that you need to have at being an entrepreneur to deal with some of the stuff. Now, in those cases, that was profit that we lost, so it wasn't like we took a loss that would put us out of business. But this whole thing is a huge game, whether you're an entrepreneur or any sort of business you're taking and doing, or you're working for somebody else. It's not only a game in the sense of the work that you're doing, but it's also the head game. And so that's what I try and share with you as much as I can on the entrepreneur side here on the chrisvossshow.com. So for me, it's part of giving back that experience. When people tell me that they're like, oh, I don't know about, what you're doing, and they haven't really watched the Chris Voss Show, it makes me really frustrated. If they knew how many tens of thousands of dollars have gone in to learn what I'm giving you for free, it just makes my head want to explode. The thing I always think about, the reason that I feel that what I'm giving back is important, is I always think about that guy who's out there, that person. They usually write me, or they usually eventually call me, and they go, you know what, Chris, I really need your help, and I watched your video, and it was a game changer. And I get a lot of those game changer calls that I really like. And that kind of motivates me to keep doing it. But I think of that person. When I got started in the 90s, there was nobody to help me. There was nobody to help me. Most entrepreneurs are too busy with their own thing. You guys have an incredible resource. And here's the point that I want to get to. I know this is long, but the point that I want to get to is what's sad to me is that so many people are giving so many brilliant stuff away for free. I mean, Chris Brogan should definitely charge for a site and his information. Seth Godin, Fred Wilson, who was Foursquare Partners, or I forget the name of his companies, but he's like an investor in Twitter and stuff like that. Great, smart guy. I've talked to him. One of the things that it makes me frustrated is there's so much of this free information that people just don't care. They just throw it, oh, whatever, I can get it for free, whatever. And you've got to realize there's probably a select few of people that you can talk to on the internet, and I don't know what select few means. That might be hundreds or 10,000 or whatever, but I'm sure it's a whole lot smaller than what the whole internet is, of people that are real experts in their field and really know what they're talking about when it comes to business and helping you achieve your goals. And I think a lot of times we're sharing that information almost in a charitable or donationable sense. But then the alternative of that is it's really sad when people, because they're getting it so much of it for free, that they're throwing it away and they're not listening. But like I say, I always think about that person who's in the back, that person who needs the most help. And hopefully they're always listening, and evidently they are, because every now and then I get a call about a game changer. And to me, that makes it all worth it. So in the end, to wrap up this long little video that I've done, I really believe in the lost leader concept of what my blog is, but I've also come to realize that some of what I do, the passion of what I do, is sharing and donating my time, my effort, my experience. Fred Wilson does the same thing with his blog. He shares a lot of great information for would-be entrepreneurs, a lot of great information for up-and-coming people who eventually might need angel investors or venture capitalists to invest in their corporations. He shares a lot of great stuff, incredible amount of detail. Some of his stuff that he talks about how to accounting and set up your business for eventually moving it to venture capitalism are great. I can't believe he shares it. So realize that that's out there and really put value on this information. Don't throw it away because it's free. I think that's the biggest shameful waste of some of this data. Thanks for coming by the chrisvossshow.com. Be sure to check out chrisbrogan.com and check out his information. You'll find he's a wonderful, warm personality. The guy is genuinely for real. And that's one of the few things I think a lot of people aren't in this world. So I think you'll enjoy him even more so on that level too. Thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.